Hello, hello. Setting up my stream. Dearest stream viewers, we are streaming. I'm just gonna paint some Soviet special forces. Yep, sure am. Just sharing that link and getting it out there, and now we're good to go. What am I gonna do today? I'm gonna work on two of these guys. Wow, that wasn't sealed up. Could have been a disaster. Could have been a disaster. Caught right in the first minute of this stream. Could have saved that as a video. Maybe got some hits. We're only doing two of these guys today because two of them are going to be in sort of tan gear while two of them are in green, which they're base coated green, but whatever, man. These are the two we're going to be looking at. You can see them on the box I have right here. We have this dude. I did not go with the silencer. I went with the grenade launcher. And this dude here, I just did not put on the bipod. Whatever. See them on the back here. This guy and this guy. Anyway, all that to say, we're only doing two of them. So we're just going to be using some brown today, or tan rather. I'm just going with what I got. So I'm gonna use some tan on these guys. We're also going to use some white. Watched any of my previous videos, specifically the last one, know that I have some slight issues with this Model Master white in that it does not have very much pigment in it. And so I switched to Citadel white dry and layer for my practical white purposes. I have sort of decided, and this may be an experimental thing that we watch or experience in this video, is that I'm hoping to use this to mix into some of my other colors. So we're going to try a bit of a lighter tan on these gentlemen using a mix of white and the existing dark tan. Flat white, dark tan. Hair in the water. You don't want that. Got some napkins. We got it all. We got it all, basically. Okay. Stirring my stuff up. Just gonna have another palette on the side now that I think of it. Again, I find it very disconcerting the way that these Model Master paints produce kind of rubbery film, which gets all over the... Oh man, don't have a very well organized workspace here. Whatever, man. But yeah, they got a rubbery film that sort of covers the entire paint bottle. And I mean, I guess this one doesn't because it's hardly got any pigment in it, but the other ones do that. So just making sure I don't have too much white pigment. I was using this for a highlight in my previous video, in fact. Okay. I'm gonna just go ahead and use the old toothpick method. So when you use a toothpick, stir the pigment. Oh no, it seems pretty mixed in, if it's there at all. Fuck. Where's the pigment at, yo? That's a fair bit. Wonder if it's something about how I'm keeping these paints. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. You know, get some sunlight in here on them sometimes. I mean, that causes problems. Anyways, the fact that these things are a bit lacking in pigment, not too much of a problem when we are doing our layer our layer phase, because for that, the whole idea is to put on thin layers that we apply over time. And yeah, you get it. I'm sure you get it. Switch the picture of the model. Give me a better idea. Okay. I've been watching True Detective season 3. That's something that I've been doing lately. It's good. It's unbelievable that season is written by the same guy who wrote season 2. As it is that season 3, or no, as it is that season 2 is written by the same guy who wrote season 1. Like night and day, man. It's season 2 was so whack and not really a detective show, or I mean, not really a mystery. So weird show to call True Detective, right? And so yeah, seems like they've corrected that in season 3. I mean, they're just trying to do season 1 as much as possible, but that Mahershala Ali, he's a great actor. So you know, it's great to watch him. Just a treat to watch, and you know, makes the show watchable. What can I say? Oops. Went for the tan when I should have gone for the white. That's okay. I don't properly value this paint, so do what we want, man. Oh, what else? What else? I mean, I've been having a weird day. It's been tough. My dreams have been too vivid, and so I've been just waking up exhausted repeatedly, falling back asleep because I'm exhausted, and yeah, it's been hard to even get to doing this. Truth be told, such is life. We all got our problems. We got weird dream problems. It's better than, I mean, at least I get to be asleep, right? Better than most problems wherein you don't get to sleep through them. But like I say, the whole issue is they're so vivid. They have mental, emotional, psychological consequences that permeate into my waking life. And it's weird, man. You know, I'm in bed. I've had 2 weird dreams in the day, and I say to myself, "Oh, what a day! What a fucked up day!" And I think to myself, "I haven't done anything today. Just been in bed." That is a weird threshold to have crossed when I consider contents of my dreams to be the substance of my day in review. It's a bit weird. It's weird to experience. I'm not familiar with it. I guess I'm sort of familiar with it in that I've been like building up to this for some time. Recurring dreams, whatnot. Guess I never really do models in my dreams. I don't know. Dream stuff. Wander around. Get lost. Try to not be lost. Go to shows. I'm always going to record stores in my dreams. I don't have a record player. I don't know. My dreams provide these cool record store / comic book places, which I guess I know of one that exists in this city I live in, Ottawa, the capital of Canada. Inferior to its provincial capital, Toronto. Y'all know that. Okay. Everybody knows that. People outside this country know that. People outside this country, I think, generally think that Toronto is our capital, like first guess, you know? And that's the real trick. There's people in this city, children usually. You grow up learning this, but people in the city that assume this is not the capital of the country. Toronto is, because that's where it's all going on. And I imagine some outsiders may think that Montreal is the capital. But as an insider, I could tell you that would never happen because it's in Quebec. And I don't say that as a personal exclusion to Quebec, but it's a political thing here. It's not, it's not as bad as it may have been in the past, but or maybe it is. Maybe I'm not very informed, but it's it's I don't know of a good comparison, but it's one of these things where it's like it would be too too problematic for the country politically if the I guess if the capital was in the French part, it comes down to it. Just not the whole country is cool. The French part of the country, which is whack for the French part of the country. I think I don't want to speak out of turn. I think that in my experience, around here in Ottawa, you get a proximity to the French part of the country. There are French people in Ottawa. So you don't have that same sense of like, hey, they ain't us. Like for us, I think it would be kind of, the fact is we're the capital and we're bilingual. So my French isn't very good though. Can't really toot that horn. Can't properly keep that feather in my cap unless someone snatch it out and say, hey, you ain't earned this feather. You don't know shit. Okay. Need some water. Oh boy. by adding water, we've made our situation, a bit more thin than we had been working with previously. But the fact is, the palette was drying up mighty fierce. I don't want to be dancing all over the palette looking for new spots to make wet. It's the layer process. You thin your paints. That's how it happens. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Where? Oh, God. I have Kleenex somewhere. I always start sneezing when I'm doing these streams. It's nuts. It's nuts. Too much dark. Not enough dark. All standing up. Gotta do the palette. Make it on wet. Add more paint. Don't make it dry. So no, we're not dry brushing. This little song I wrote. Try not to do this dead air shit, but it's a distracting process. Got tickets to see Children of Bodom in this national capital of Ottawa that I was just talking about. And that's interesting because I don't think they've ever come here. I think I know because I was a pretty big fan back in my day. And yeah, so I got a ticket because I was like, damn, younger me would never forgive me if I did not go and see them the one time they actually came to my town. I've gone out of town to see them, speaking of Toronto. But that was once. I did that once. It wasn't even really worth. I mean, okay, it was cool to see the Unholy Alliance tour, but the fact is, Children of Bodom just wasn't that well received there. I would say it was more of a Lamb of God town, which kind of fits the almost pejorative reputation that Toronto has in Canada, that it's more of an American. It's like the most American Canadian city. I don't know if people say that anymore. Actually, that that could fall to no. I don't know. Somewhere else. Talking about being Canadian. That's all it is. That's all it is this episode. And slowly applying this white tan, this light tan to this guy. Man, colors get a bit tricky around there. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Fuck, dead air again. And I did it again. Got distracted. Oh, man, but what could I talk about? A lot of times people ask me, hey, Tom, do those Warhammers? Don't do those Warhammers. Not right now. I'm thinking of doing it in the future, maybe. Maybe with some friends. I know some friends who've gotten back into Warhammers recently. And, they're fun. In a way, they're more fun to paint, you get to choose your own paint schemes, whatnot. Nobody cares if you got your orcs painted right or whatever. Maybe there's someone who cares. I don't know. But, the fact is, when I do these, the main, I think, use that I intend to get, like their main their only real life outside my private enjoyment is when I put them into shows, competitions, that sort of thing, where they are judged on their painting and whatnot. And I'm pretty sure when you're doing these military ones, they check for a sense of like accuracy. And so because that's like the only real rubric to shoot for these guys, because I'm not going to use them in a game or something. I use them, I paint them for my own enjoyment, but I like to have them such that they can fit the like one criteria they're gonna have to go for at some point. If that makes sense. I sort of said it in a weird roundabout way, I think. I was sort of like trying to figure out where this guy would have the tan bits as I go, but the fact is some of these are a bit tricky. But I think that gives us all the more reason to apply some more water. Thin it out so that it can get into these tricky bits. Mix it up good. All weird little spearhead thing going on there. Weird. And here's the guy as far as he goes. But just working on it. We just working on it, Oh, shit. With the brush so wet, I'm just splashing it all over the place. But I mean, I don't know. Don't have to be perfect at this stage, I don't think. Fact is, we're going to be putting many layers and whatnot over this. So I don't feel too upset about making a few splashes here and there. We'll just splash over them later, These parts are a bit tricky. You can't even see them on the back there. Guess I've already said that. I already said some of this is tricky. Oh, man. Man, I can't even see. So I'll assume his belt is like the other guy's belt. Whatever. I'll have to do that later. Like otherwise, this guy's. Yeah, this guy's about done. The rest is just going to be filled in with a wash. God, I just said like done. That's a bit misleading of a statement, but I mean done in terms of the phase that I'm currently doing. And you know what? I said it too early because I forgot to do his hat. It's going to be the easiest part. I'm intentionally doing a bit of a dry brush thing here. It's fine by me as long as he gets his layer. As long as he gets his layer. Whoops. Splashy, splashy. Tell you about a Warhammer figure I like. I love that Horticulus Slimux, Gardener of Nurgle. I guess if on the off chance you're watching this and you're into miniatures monthly, which I am, they already lovingly, I think, poured out some attention for my boy Horticulus. My boy Horticulus. That sounds like a weird rap thing. Dark tan white, dark tan white, dark tan white, back and forth. Beep, beep, beep. I guess this is some of a pattern with my videos as I kind of obstinately do these mixes. Really want to know why. Fact is, I just don't have that many paints of my own, and I like to use my own paints. Use my dad's, but you know, I like to have some sort of sense of I don't know, stock. You know, it's like I have these paints. These are the paints I am going to use because these are the paints I have. Feels like cheating to dip into someone else's stock. I don't know. That's just me. I imagine like at Warhammer World and stuff, they have their own stock out for you to use. And man, what a luxury that would be. I'd probably have different opinions if I had ever experienced such a glorious outpouring of hobby goods. But alas, they have been somewhat, relatively short supply for me. They're expensive. The paint, not expensive, but the paint doesn't grow on trees or nothing. Certainly when I was a kid, was I wasn't making money or anything, so didn't really have the ability to just go out and buy my own paints. Although I remember I had my own paints, probably got them for like gifts, birthday, Christmas, that sort of thing. I was trying to do this hat right because I know he's supposed to have a Soviet star. Did I mention we're doing Soviet Special Forces? I know it's the title of the video, but yeah, I'm just trying to make sure his star is properly showing there, It's wetting it up a bit. So be it. Okay, a bit of an explanatory thing on what I was saying there. The reason that I want the paint to be thin on the star, again, this is not like expert tips or anything, but the star is a very tiny detail on the plastic of the model. If the paint is too thick, it'll just cover it up, and that detail will be lost, and it won't pick up when I'm doing highlights later, which is what I want. I want to be able to highlight the little details like that and have them really pop when I'm doing the final stage of the model. So if you're new to this, hopefully that kind of information is helpful. All right, I'm going to say that guy's done for now. Switch to the next one. Gotta keep track of where my phone is. I have an alarm that's going to go off at 5:30 because I've got to run some Dungeons and Dragons later. Boy, I'd love to stream that. I would love to make a thing out of my Dungeons and Dragons, but oh, maybe I could. It's kind of like in media res right now. I don't think it'd be much of a sell. Back to the beginning, but with a new dude. So just doing the same thing. Got a bit of a look of the last guy, but here's the state that he's in now. So as you can see, he's got paint. Like I've been fairly accurate, but there's paint splashed here and there, definitely on his face. Splashed here, there. Yeah. But otherwise, looking all right. Like I mentioned earlier, be able to correct those areas later when I start to layer on layers of other paint. More tan, more white. Man, really, oh, I'm planning on getting a new computer at some point in the future. In the relatively near future, so that's neat. Hopefully, I don't know. So at one point, I may have mentioned this. At one point before, I was working on learning to use Game Maker Studio. Trouble is, I started with the drag and drop tutorial. I mean, this is not necessarily trouble, but I was then informed that like I'm not going to get very far in my actual project with just the drag and drop method because I'll run into problems and people won't know how to fix them. Most people use Game Maker language, so I'm gonna have to learn how to use Game Maker language, which I sort of just like start the fact. So with drag and drop, I was learning from the drag and drop tutorial. And that has a basically synonymous tutorial in Game Maker language that teaches you how to do the exact same thing, the exact same tutorial with Game Maker language. There's one for drag and drop and one for Game Maker language. And so I'm just like sort of starting back from the beginning with Game Maker language instead of drag and drop. And it's discouraging as a setback, but I guess so. What is encouraging is I learned that I knew that Tom Francis's game Gunpoint was made on Game Maker, but I thought he had made his following game, Heat Signature, on Unity. And then I learned in the latest Crate and Crowbar episode, he actually just made it in Game Maker. So, and that was like definitely like one of the most impressive games I had played recently, and really inspired me on how much it was able to do. So basically, as a proof of concept, it's like, man, I really got to learn how to do this. I would love to be able to make my dreams come true. Just doing this guy's pants right now. He's got a little bit of a just like a bit of paint, like a bit of pigment, like obstinately not melting down from the dilution of the water. Guess if I used paint thinner, it'd probably be more effective, but whatever. I like just using water because it's like, it's just there, Will always be. Where the world's headed. How is the world headed anyway? Where is the world headed? This world. Goldarn monster swamp. Man, that's what I care about. Is Preacher gonna come back? I hope to God they do. That'd be nuts to leave on that note and then just let it sit. Get out of here, you bit of pigment. I'm messing up the texture of my model. It's getting dark around these parts. Would have done this early in the day, but as I was mentioning, my dreams had me all fucked up. I have this wacky buildup of pigment on the bottom of my brush here. I'm just gonna slide that away. Ring. That's weird. It came out as a little ring. A little rubber ring. Oh, man. Fact is, we do the same thing so much. It's just doesn't affect the brush. That's how it happens. That's how it happens, man. Got like no viewers today. It's a bit of a change. Maybe I didn't go live at the right time or what. I don't know. Not bothering me though. Save these for later. Somebody can watch them someday. I don't know if anybody watches. Oh shit! Got his boot and some pigment. It's an interesting thing. Well, maybe it's not for anyone else, but it. When I started doing this again, I had this like vague awareness of the sense of like, okay, the vaguely solid stuff inside the paint here, that's the pigment, and the stuff that's wet, that's like the solvent. But I wasn't sure, like I didn't remember that from any specific instruction or anything. And so then I looked it up. I looked up something about paint pigment, and there was just like no results on it. And I was like, man, did I fucking imagine this whole thing? And then talking to my dad about using the paint, he just uses the term all the time. So like, pretty sure it's a thing. Unless my dad just made it up and I'm just saying weird nonsense that my dad says and nobody's going to understand what this is about. I doubt it though. Yeah, because I've talked with other people about pigment and solvent. But I have weird vivid dreams. I forget stuff. What if one day I find out the Matrix has been changed and I don't know my ass from my elbow anymore? That's an expression they used to have. Don't know your ass from your elbow. What are we sitting on our elbows for? That's an old Blackadder. Man, it's that's something I was talking to someone about recently is laugh tracks in comedies, So the big culprit, I think, of our day, everyone's like, fuck this laugh track for Big Bang Theory, which uses it very liberally. And but my mom was channel surfing the other day and I was there and I saw or she watched a bit of that show Blackish, and man, that show, like, it felt like it was dying for lack of a laugh track. Like, it just was so empty seeming. And I think, at the time I was just like, well, it's a sitcom. I think that it's just like the format relies on a certain amount of ambient joke noise. But what got me onto this topic, I was talking about Blackadder, and like, man, Blackadder has a very liberal laugh track, and those British comedies from back in the day, they use these. I'm sure if you've seen one, you know what I'm talking about. Is like they use these bizarrely, like you can pick out specific people's laughter consistently through the laugh track, as if that this episode was specifically presented in front of a live studio audience who then had their laughter recorded, and then at the jokes that they laughed at had that laughter like dubbed in, and like so there will be like one person with a very squeaky laugh that like you hear every time, and you're like, man, that squeaky laugh, what were they thinking? It's like, oh, man, how again, that my weird imagination is like the only way I can think of it is like they literally did a live laugh track every time, at which point it's like, why don't you just do, I don't know, why don't you, I guess it's fine. I guess that makes sense. It's just like, why dub in a live studio recording? It seems weird. But I guess in that sense it probably work in that context. Again, just struggling pigment with solvent, and we are using the universal solvent, water. Something I remember from science class, which let me tell you, there ain't that much in that category. I don't remember shit from science class. I don't remember what practical scientific knowledge I may have gleaned at some point. All the like little, all the little things where it's like, oh, well, everybody knows that. You learn that in class, but they're like little weird exceptions to the rule. And it's like, fuck, that shit's confusing to remember. I can't remember. I remember the universal solvent. It's helping me out right now. Ooh. I mentioned this already, but it's starting to get pretty dark. Again, I like to do this by sunlight, and I used up all my sunlight sleeping, having weird ass vivid dreams. By finals that I don't have a player for, and the like. Another guy who's got a star on his cap. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm really losing the light here. It's important for when you're getting the layering done, because if you don't have the right light, you may not properly cover up that base coat. And with this guy being green, I'm probably going to see this in the morning and be like, damn, that green is showing through a bit too much. But this guy's very close to done, I think, so just fight on, you know? White solvents, tan solvents, normal, universal solvents. Got a problem? Use a solvent. You'll solve it. Meh. Ooh. Tummy groan. I don't know if you can hear that. Well, I think could be better, could be worse. Let's see. Doing a lot of splashing, man. Let me tell you. But I think if I displayed it now, you would understand basically what I have accomplished. So just try and fill some cracks in and make sure. Oh. Yeah. Just gotta get these nooks and crannies, you know? I mean, it's not essential. The wash will get them later, but it's nice to have the original color, and the wash can simulate the shadow a little better. Oh no. All right, that's my signal. That's my signal to stop. It's getting all dry again, getting all rubbery. On this. Anyway. Finish up that. Show you guys what's going on there. So this is the other guy. See, again, we got some splashing on the face, but you can also see that there are areas that are specifically green. His hands, his gun, his, his baggage. All this is emotional baggage. And, this is just generally going to make the paint mix together less when I apply other layers. But, so just as an example of what I was saying, we've got some splashing on this backpack. But the fact is, I'm going to do green on this backpack, and I'm just going to layer right over that. What may happen is I may splash some on this guy or something, but we'll be limiting that. And then in the end, most of that splashing will be sort of naturally corrected by the wash and the highlighting. But this is the first step: is you gotta do your layers, and that can get a bit messy. Again, I'm going to quote something from Crate and Crowbar, or not Crate and Crowbar, Miniatures Monthly. But the fact is, there's a part about midway through the process, after base coat, before you really get into your wash and your dry brush, your wet and your dry, it's basically this part, the part where you're doing your layers, where you just think, fuck, this looks bad. There's a phase where all models look bad. We're kind of stepping into that territory now, but trust me, it's going to look good in the future. Oh boy. You know what? I almost forgot something important. keep mentioning our last stream, and the last stream for these guys who are now finished. Oops. Again, it's a bit dark, but you know, don't take my word for it. Take my model for it, because these guys, I don't know how well you can see, but look how good they look. Again, this was like an experimental kit, so looking pretty good, all things considered. Anyway, just trying to say I have evidence. That is my latest evidence to show I know what I'm talking about when I say the wash and the highlight makes things look better, which I guess is why we do it. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, nobody. But this will be up on YouTube, and hopefully someone gets some enjoyment out of it. So take care.